So let's say you have a guitar and you don't really know where to go next. Now you've been playing for a couple months, maybe a couple years, and you can play some basic chords, but you're not really sure how to take it to the next level. Well, today I want to share 10 tips that I have for any guitar player to step up your game. Let's check it out. My first tip for anyone that plays guitar is to make sure that you keep it out of the case. Now this might sound like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised. I live in a small apartment. I've always lived in some smaller places ever since I've lived in New York City, and it can be really convenient to keep your guitar stored away in its case, maybe keep it under a bed or in a closet. But I have to say, if you've ever heard the saying, out of sight, out of mind, this couldn't be more true with musical instruments. It can be really hard to find the time to practice, and I find that keeping the guitar out and keeping it in the room and in your eyesight can really motivate you to pick it up if you have some downtime. Even just picking it up for 5 minutes a day can have a tremendous impact on your playing. So keeping your guitar out will do more for your playing than you'll realize. My second tip for anyone that wants to play guitar or any musical instrument is to make sure that you have a dedicated practice space or workspace that you have. Now this doesn't always have to be set up permanently. I know that I've lived in apartments where I haven't been able to have this kind of setup that I have here, which is like a dedicated desk area. But at the very least, try to have a designated space in your apartment where you know that you can go for a certain period of the day and set up, your lesson book or your papers, your notes, your laptop computer or your tablet to look up some tablature or some guitar lessons. This, along with having the guitar out in the room, work together to be really crucial to make sure that you're putting in the time and putting in the hours that it takes to get good at guitar. Now, part 2 of the second point is also to have that space clean and organized. Tim Pierce has a great video on the way that he sets up his work and recording station, which is a little different, but I think that the same fundamental applies. For me, there's nothing more stifling creatively and in terms of like a creative flow than having to take a break to find a guitar pick or to find a pack of guitar strings, or you need to charge your phone or you need to charge your tablet. Try to have a dedicated area where you have all that stuff set up already. You have a phone charger, you have a pad of paper and a pen, you have your guitar on a stand right in that same area. Your workflow is going to optimize because you're set up in a way that's streamlined and really lets you just sit down and practice when you need to. You don't have to waste time finding stuff, and you can really value your time on guitar. My third tip here has to do with the guitar itself, and it has to do with the strings. Now, guitar strings have different lifespans depending on the type of string and how often you're playing it, and also some things like the oils and the sweat that come off of your hand can do different things to corrode the strings at different times. Essentially, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that you need to know is that when the strings start to feel like they're old, they need to be changed. Not only because they'll feel better, but I've also found that I have a hard time getting the guitar to stay in tune when the strings are older. I'm not sure if anyone else has experienced that, but I absolutely have experienced struggling to try to get the guitar to sound good when all I really needed to do was change the strings and everything evened out. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is setting up a practice schedule. Now, when I would learn guitar, I was a little bit younger. I hate to say it, but I really had all the time in the world. When I was in high school or when I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade when I started, I had all the time in the world to sit downstairs. I used to play guitar in my parents' basement for like 5-6 hours on end every single day. And I have to say it was amazing. I'm sure that I got a lot of my beginning of my 10,000 hours out when I was playing in my parents' basement. Learning guitar at an older age can be a little more difficult just because of the sheer time that it takes to learn and that adults just have responsibilities. I think that the best thing you can do is set up a strict schedule for yourself and make sure that you stick to it. Consistency, like with learning a language or with weightlifting or anything, it's all about consistency, and part of that is making a practice schedule and making sure that you hold yourself to it. Another thing that I had to really learn the hard way when I was learning how to play guitar is to make sure that you're teaching yourself songs that you like. I think that this makes it so much more easy to learn. It makes it way more interesting and can hold your attention more on something that can frankly get quite boring if you're just learning a lot of technical stuff and a lot of, method books and things like that. I do think that it's important to learn from method books and to learn things like that. There was a couple times when I was taking early lessons where the teacher would say, no, you need to learn this first. You need to learn how to read music. You need to learn how to do this or do that. When ultimately all I really wanted to do was to learn how to play like Fade to Black by Metallica. But this is the day and age that we're in now. I feel like between the basic technical things that you need to learn for guitar that I think that you can learn on YouTube, my page doesn't really cover that kind of stuff right now, but I can put some links in my description below of some really great teachers and some guitar tutorials if you're trying to get really up on your feet playing guitar. But once you learn that kind of stuff, if you're starting to learn songs, I really encourage that you learn the songs that you want to play, because ultimately that's going to keep you motivated. Going along with playing songs that you want to play, I suggest that you learn entire songs. This is something that I didn't really do when I was younger. I think that it's really important to learn whole songs, because now that I've actually gone back and gotten a lot of paid work playing some of these same songs that were the ones that I learned when I was growing up, I had to go back and relearn them all because I never taught myself the entire tune. So one thing that you can do, I think is really helpful, is not only learn the song from tabs and the actual guitar parts, but to also learn the chords. Now, if you Google for guitar tabs, you'll find that there are guitar tabs, which are written out string by string, the exact lick that you need to play. But there's also ones that are just chords that are normally matched with lyrics on the page. This can be for more of like an acoustic guitar player or someone that just wants to play the chords they don't really want to learn, like all the intricate licks. I would suggest learning both, because if you understand the song completely between the actual part of the tab and the underlying chords, it's going to give you a way better understanding of the song, especially if you end up playing it with someone. You understand how the chords work, you understand how the piano works in, the chordal kind of instruments work in with the parts that you're playing, and it's really going to help advance your playing because you're going to get a full understanding of the instrument. Another thing that I can really recommend, which is easier said than done when you're new, but it's to learn songs by ear. Now, this can just be something that you try. Understand, a guitar tablature does not really have much information on the rhythm. That's the one thing that it's missing compared to regular sheet music. So you're gonna wanna pull up the track on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube or whatever you use, and then have the guitar tab alongside. Listen to the song and learn from the tab. But an even better thing, if you can, try to experiment just listening to the song and just doing trial and error on the neck to try to figure out where they're playing the notes. This kind of ear training and this kind of experimentation and trial and error on the guitar will have you leaps and bounds playing better, because it will train your ear on what you need to play. Another thing that helped me a lot, and that is frankly just a lot of fun, is to play the guitar along with guitar backing tracks. Now, when I was just starting, I didn't even really know that these existed. Now, there's a really great website called guitarbackingtracks.com that I will link in the description. It has so many songs without the guitar part in it. So when you plug into your amp or into your computer, you can play along with the real band. I'm talking the singer, the bass player, the drummer, keyboard parts. There's even some songs that have a lead guitar part where just the lead guitar part will be out and the rhythm guitar part will still be there. It's free, it's really, really fun, and you can just go on and type in one of your favorite artists. I bet that they're on there and that they have a guitar backing track that you can play along with. Check it out. Another thing that's important that I actually didn't do a lot when I was younger, and I still don't do a ton, but it is important, is to practice with a metronome. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard practicing with a metronome is really crucial, and once you start recording in a recording studio, a lot of times they're going to have a metronome or what's called a click track in your headphones to play along with. And if you're not used to playing with a metronome, you'll soon find out that you might naturally push or pull on the beat. Now, this is something that everyone does. No one's perfect, and not even drummers, if you're playing with a drummer in someone's basement or at a jam session, that these guys aren't on a click. Drummers swing time too. Not everyone stays right on the beat. Playing to the click is a skill in itself. Playing without a click is a skill in itself, but I can absolutely recommend incorporating some metronome practicing into your playing. And last but not least, one of the most important things that I think you can do ultimately is record yourself playing and listen back. I did not do this enough when I was growing up. Until I was in college, I was taking some classical guitar courses and I needed to record some guitar stuff to send in to my teacher, or I needed to record something for a project, I forget what it was. But I finally sat and was able to listen back to what I was playing and actually caught myself making a lot of little time mistakes, making some unnecessary pauses, things that I wasn't even realizing that I was doing because I just never recorded myself and listened back to it. I was always having a really fun time playing guitar. I was never really holding myself to any kind of standard, which is fine. But once I realized, man, if I had to play this track and it had to fit in with a drummer or fit in with a band, I would actually find myself having a really hard time playing it perfectly and playing it with no little time errors and no mistakes and no little flubs. This is something that you can do at home. You don't even have to have something like a DAW like Logic if you do, or if you have GarageBand, which comes for free on most Mac computers these days. Absolutely set up Logic. You can record yourself with the microphone, or you can also get an audio interface. I recommend getting something inexpensive like the Focusrite Scarlett series. Really, really great. It's full featured, it has headphones, it has monitor outs, and it has usually 1 or 2 inputs for guitar. Record yourself playing guitar and listen back to it. You can also incorporate the Metronome feature on these kinds of digital audio workstations to see if you're playing in time to any given tempo that you desire. But playing and recording yourself and listening back and critiquing your performance is going to help you immensely at any level. So it's something that I absolutely recommend. Now, these tips are designed to help any level of guitar player. It doesn't matter if you just got a guitar and you're not really sure what to do or how to set up your practice regimen. Maybe you have a guitar and you're okay at playing some chords, but you're wondering how you can take your guitar to the next level. If you enjoy guitar-related content, please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post a new video. Everyone stay safe out there. Remember, keep playing, keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.